What's up, historians and fellow ranters? Crimson Vow drops next week. Everything is almost spoiled, and we're going to take a look at our personal picks for the top cards that will make an impact in Historic. Coming up now on this Not Another Red Wedding episode of Mana Rant. But first, I'm Hoshi, the idiot of Innistrad, the gorgeous groomsman, and the backup best man. And as always, I am joined by a man who claims to actually be married to a real-life woman. We have DrunkenDork.
So, well, what is up, everyone? So is this like a wedding-themed intro that we're doing? I noticed you did Red Wedding, and then you talked about yourself being backup of a backup, which I don't understand. And you said gorgeous, which I definitely don't understand.
So a backup is if one person can't do it, then you go to the backup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so you're like, not Soren, who's getting married?
Olivia.
Olivia and who?
And Edgar.
Edgar, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So you're the backup to him. And as far as me being married, I mean, at least I think so. Unless I'm having some kind of like weird Pepe Sylvia situation, like A Beautiful Mind, where I'm just sitting here talking to someone who just absolutely isn't here, and that could very well be, you know.
That is an obscure. Who's Pepe Sylvia? I don't know. I'm not cultured.
From fucking Sunny. From It's Always Sunny. Remember when Charlie Day starts working in the mailroom and he's like, who's this fucking Pepe Sylvia guy? And he has all these like pins all over the place with yarn connected to him.
Oh, okay. The meme. Okay.
And then what's his name's like, Pepe Sylvia's on the third floor, you fuck. And he's been waiting for his mail for like 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. All right. Now I get it.
Yeah.
All right. And then that brings us to, Apollo, or the third, host, kind of. He was
host.
Co-host. He was hosting, then co-host, then I don't know. He's not here this week. He is having difficult times balancing the podcast with the military right now. He can't. It's hard for him to do two things at all. Multitasking is not his strong suit. So
no.
Yeah. So no word from him this week. Maybe we'll be graced with his presence next week. Maybe we'll get one of them deep V cuts. Anyways. Welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us. We're the Mana Dorks, and you are listening to the Mana Rant podcast, where we talk about everything about Magic the Gathering, but mainly focus on the historic format. Our show moves through the phases of Magic, with the main topics being our main phases of the show, and then we have a whole bunch of other fun stuff sprinkled in on all the other phases, but if you really want to see what's going on, you can check the episode description down below, and we'll have time hacks on the YouTube video and on the actual podcast once we post it. And with that, let's just jump straight into our first phase, which is going to be our Untap phase.
Untap.
And Untap is where we untap some drinks that we're going to be enjoying during the podcast. So, Drunken, what are you drinking tonight?
Back to the kegerator. And I got a beautiful keg of Belching Beaver peanut butter stout.
Oh my God.
And it's over. It's officially over. I'm ready to be hungover like every single day until that's gone, because it is so dangerously good.
It is.
And so dangerously fatty, you know?
Absolutely. We're going to have to bring back.
It's good. I'm excited.
Your ever expanding DrunkenDork title is going to be definitely applied since you got that, man. I remember I went to their brewery, and they made a what was it? A float out of that? A beer float?
A milkshake? Yeah. I've had one before. They're really good.
It's such a weird thing to put ice cream in beer, but I mean, with that Belching Beaver, that one, it works. It's pretty good. Well, I'm jelly. I don't know where you found that in Seattle, but pretty cool. For me, I've got this guy right here, and this is some homemade chai vodka that we have combined with some bourbon cream and some coffee. And the girlfriend's calling this one Yippee Chaye. So
adorable.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, yeah, and that's good. And we got some toasted marshmallows around the rim too, which makes it smells like a s'more. Oh man, that's great. All right, well,
Sounds sweet.
Cheers everybody out there, and cheers Drunken Dork to a good show.
Yeah. Cheers everyone.
And with that, we'll move into our upkeep phase.
Upkeep? Getcha upkeep?
And so the upkeep phase is our Reddit rant. And Reddit rant is where we look to the internet for people bitching, complaining, or sometimes talking about how fucking awesome they are at Magic the Gathering. And so we got another great one from Facebook. And this I know. And this one, this guy gets the epic music for how fucking cool he is. All right. So this is Colin Q. And Colin starts off with, "Hello, fellow dorks," which I don't know. That sounds kind of like our old intro, but
Yeah.
Maybe he's a watcher. He's gonna be probably pretty pissed when he hears this. So then he goes into, "My name is Colin, and I'm a beast at this game. I'm a mono red aggro on trick, and today was my 5th time hitting Mythic. Except yesterday, on my birthday, I climbed from Plat to Mythic in 15 hours. If anyone
No way!
of you, that's right. If any one of you guys talk about MTGA or debate, I'm always open to crush your opinion. My ego comes with results, and my super huge dong that'll flop out on the table." I mean, maybe he didn't say that last part, but I think it's implied heavily there.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Drunken, what do you think about Colin Q and his gigantic mythic dong?
All right. The caveat to what I'm about to say is you do whatever you want to do, but for God's sake, 15 hours you played Magic Arena on your birthday, dude? Come on, what are you doing? You got no friends, no loved ones? What are we doing here?
Oh man,
I don't get it. That is an entire day of Magic the Gathering, which is cool. You know, that's fun to do. But on your birthday, on the internet, like
15 hours of mono red, dude.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah,
Good for you, man.
I guess, yeah. That was a comment that I read down there that was like 15 hours on your birthday. That's a weird flex, but all right. That you're making on people. Yeah, this is I mean, sure, making it to Mythic is cool, you know, that's good. And he's done it 5 times. That's great. I don't know why you have to be an asshole about it, you know? Like what's the deal, dude? Like, yes, you made Mythic. That's cool. I don't think you're king shit of fuck mountain if you make it to Mythic 5 times, especially when you're spending 15 hours in a day doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you're grinding that much, like, yeah, you're going to make it to Mythic, dude. Like, I don't think you're fucking pro, you know, when you're putting in that much work, but... I don't know. Maybe he's a good player. He seems like an asshole. I'll tell you that much from the way he's talking about it. So, anyways, he had a follow up post. All right. So if we go to his page here, putting him on blast here. I want to read his follow up and.
Yeah,
it's
please do.
Yeah, it's because he got blasted hard for this. Like the comments got shut off. Like everyone was like, you know, they went hard on him. Anyway, so he's like, quick apologies to if anyone was a bit surprised at my competitive banter. I felt an urge to prove myself since I am new to social communities as this one. Always a student of the game. So what do you think of Colin's apology? Do you think that like he feels bad about you know, maybe coming on a little too strong there?
I don't know, dude. This guy, like, I don't want to sound like an ass.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. No, he absolutely doesn't. He probably suffers from like a slight bit of Asperger's or some shit like that.
Maybe. Yeah.
Who knows, right?
I had the same.
Definitely.
I had the same thought. Yeah. The apology, like, all right. So Colin, all right, we're gonna help you out here, man. With the quick apologies, that leave it at that, right? And then he's like, if anyone was a bit surprised about how competitive and fucking awesome I am, that's pretty much how this read. He's like, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you guys can't handle how fucking sweet I am at this game and how competitive, I am. That's how that read to everybody. So the first one was, I'm king shit a fuck mountain and I'll crush you. Look at how many times I made it mythic. Then this one was, basically fuck off.
I like your blurbs. Yeah. I like your blurbs of him. Yeah, you're a little like short.
I'm interpreting.
Cliff notes.
That's how we read it. Maybe that's not how he means it. Maybe he's not very good at communicating. I work in the IT world, so I'm very familiar with people that are on this, somewhere like on the spectrum a little bit and not very good at, making their intentions known really well. So maybe that's what's going on here. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, we'll give him the benefit, I guess, here. Because we're very kind here on on Manor. We don't shit on...
very kind. Yeah, the nicest people.
We don't shit on anybody here,
Never.
Yeah.
No. Try not to.
Try not to. Yeah. I mean, we shit on ourselves enough, I guess. So, yeah. I mean, I'm the true idiot here. Anyways, if you have a Reddit rant that you find, if you find another Colin out there or someone else who's king shit a fuck mountain, send the post our way. We love to read those.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
With that, let's move into our next phase, which is our draw phase.
Let's draw.
And draw is where we talk about news that's coming out in MTGA and whatever we've been playing this week. I don't think there's really any news. I skimmed over everything. It looks like nothing crazy is happening. So let's just talk about what we've been playing this week. Drunken, what have you been up to?
So yesterday on my stream, which I was doing every Thursday at 12:30 a.m. I was drafting, and I almost never draft. I have like 12 draft tokens.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I just need to knock some of these out. I don't have a whole lot of cards from the new set because honestly, I don't think a lot of the cards from the new set are that particularly good in Historic.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did that, and during my draft, I want to shout this person out because he had a bunch of people raid my stream, which I'd never heard of. Like I saw people, they're like this, they're like something raid. This is a raid, like something raid. I'm like, oh, and I'm like in stream, like, oh, these fucking idiots. They're like joining in and like they're not even on the right thing, and like that must be like in the wrong stream because they're like there's no raid here, and they kept saying it, and then finally this guy PJ Trick is the same.
He's like, oh, you're a boomer. You don't understand what this is.
yeah, basically. I'm gonna spell his name out too because I watched a little bit of his stuff after, and he's good. He has good personality, really good talking voice. It's PJTRIKK.
Nice spelling.
He's a streamer. He has a shit ton of people. So nice. I mean, probably anyone who's watching this already knows who he is. He basically brought all like 60 to 80 people into my stream, and they all started watching, and it was a little overwhelming, honestly, because like people just started asking questions and saying things, and I was trying to respond to people and play Magic. And I'm not gonna lie, like I am not the best person at that for sure. Like I get real concentrated when I'm playing Magic, especially if I'm playing draft, because I don't know the cards.
That makes it a lot harder. Absolutely.
But I ended up doing pretty good on the draft. I went, I did the traditional draft, so I went 2-1.
I mean,
you just played 3
cards
games
here, dude. You got Arlen.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good draw you're getting.
Yeah,
strong on the werewolves, dude.
Yeah, it did pretty good. And I had a lot of fun. I don't draft enough. I feel like I should do it more. It's just so time consuming generally.
Yeah.
But like I realized with this, I knocked this whole draft out in probably like an hour and 10 minutes. So it is doable
awesome.
in a quick time. So I think I'm going to start doing it more.
Yeah, you know what? I did quite a few drafts on this one, like when the set came out, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I think this set is actually, it's not the best set for Historic, but I think it's a really fun set to actually draft because there's like a whole bunch of different themes that like work really well around this. It's pretty easy to build like a pretty coherent draft deck, I feel like, with it. So yeah, that's cool. Hopefully the next set is fun to draft too, because that's a great way to get new cards when a set drops. And I have a bunch of draft tokens. I'm sure you do too, just because we don't really do it that often.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice, dude.
What about you? What have you been playing?
Man, not a lot. I've just been playing my normal deck. Actually, you know what? After Apollo was talking about the squirrel deck last week, I remade it. I went and made some changes to it and made it a little more like life gain focused, with kind of the squirrel thing being like a backup win condition. Like I added that one, like the moon dancer girl that lets you scry whenever you gain a life. Like she gets a counter and gains, and can scry. And that chick like is just blowing it out of the water on that deck, because she like helps you find your combo pieces super easy. So yeah, it's a great deck. It was actually a lot of fun. The only thing that sucks is when you play against an opponent that actually makes you play out your win condition. Like I was playing this one dude, and like it was hard for me to win because like I could attack in, like I had lethal on that turn, but I had to do like, I don't know, like 70 clicks to be able to do it. I was like, please concede, please concede.
Doing what you hate, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, come on, man, you're dead. Like, you see what I'm doing, right? Like it's gonna happen. And then he died, but he made me earn it. So
I mean, I will too. I'll make people earn it, especially, if I don't have to click it all, right? And it's just up to you clicking my opponent.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'm going to make you click through your whole fucking thing.
Yeah, I get it. Like, when you're playing in ranked, sure, why not? But when like in the play queue, like no, if I'm playing play, I'll just concede.
Were you in the play queue when
No, this was in ranked. Yeah, this was ranked. So he wanted me to like screw up or something, which can happen, because that's how arena is. You can't just be like, I do this 1,000 times, like you could actually in paper, which is one of the major downfalls of arena. So. But I've been actually having a lot of fun with that deck. I've been switching around a lot. I've been going back to like, Enchantress and going to Big Red and like, like every day I just feel like I'm rotating through a lot of the different decks that I have, and they're all good, which is, I feel like Historic is like actually really fun right now. And there's like a lot of, variants that you can play with. So,
absolutely. I will say real quick. I have been playing a lot more Enchantress, and I think I've won like 8 consecutive games with that deck yesterday.
Nice.
I think it has everything to do with exactly what you just said. Is there's so much variance in Historic right now. Like I said, I only play the ladder. Or I almost only play the ladder. And I've just been playing so many different decks, and it's a really resilient deck against so many decks, because people just don't they don't have cards, especially in best of one, that can deal with that many enchantments. Maybe they can deal with one or two or three.
I think like Ugin is a real problem with that deck, but barely anyone plays Ugin anymore.
Mono brown, and I actually like, that was like my second game yesterday I played again in Historic was mono brown, and I had what's that card where you can name a card and it costs 2 more?
The Curse of Silence.
The Curse, Curse of Silence. I Curse of Silence Mind Stone, and then I Curse of Silence a Mind Stone again, so they couldn't like start ramping. And then they just conceded. It was hilarious. After I did my second curse on the Mind Stone, they just conceded. I was like, okay.
They're like, it's gonna be forever before I get Ugin out. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, dude. All right. Anything else before we get into spoilers? All right, sweet. Then let's move into main phase 1.
Main phase 1.
All right, so main phase this week, we're talking about the picks that we like, like our top picks so far out of these spoilers, and what we think is just like playing cards that we super love, or or ones that we think are going to be good in historic. I mean, mine, I tried to make sure that all mine were like at least playable, I think, in historic, because there's quite a few cards that I liked in the set, but I was like, that's just me, like, having a hard on for these cards. Like, I don't think they're going to be good in historic, so I didn't pick those ones. Did you pick anything like that?
No, not at all. I think every card I picked is going to be playable in historic.
Fantastic. All right, so then these are our top picks, and we're going to start off with Drunken. And your first pick is Cemetery Gatekeeper. Take it away.
Yeah, so Cemetery Gatekeeper is 1 and a red for a creature vampire. Has first strike and says when Cemetery Gatekeeper enters the battlefield, exile a card from a graveyard. And then it says whenever a player plays a land or casts a spell, if it shares a card type with the exile card, Cemetery Gatekeeper deals 2 damage to that player. And this is a 2/1. I don't understand how this just will not be played. It doesn't need vampires. It's an incredibly good 2-drop. That just continues to deal damage if nobody can deal with it. Like, if you exile a land, like, that's
that's pretty funny. If they get a land like a Fabled Passage or something like that early, you hit them on turn 2 with this, that's gonna do so much damage to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Or like if you're playing against blue-red and you exile an instant or a sorcery, like it's going to devastate that deck because they're already generally dealing a lot of damage to themselves, like just with shock lands and stuff.
I think
they're usually.
I think they can deal with this by taking it out with like a burn spell, but
that's true.
But a lot of the other ones like Simic Ramp or something, this would destroy Simic Ramp. While they're ramping, they're just like punching themselves in the face every time. This is a pretty cool card, I think. And then, I mean, its stats are pretty great too,
Yeah, it's a 2/1 for 2. Like, it's not incredible, but it's like doable. I would absolutely play this in either like a red, white, black vampire deck or a mono red deck for sure, or like some type of Gruul or something like aggro to mid range.
This is pretty cool. I mean, it's got first strike too, and first strike's great, especially in the early games. So sweet. Anything else for this guy?
No, I'm excited. I think out of all the cards I picked, this is the one I think is going to be the most playable.
Cool. Yeah, I like it. I think it's really strong too. It's gonna definitely find a play. It's almost like a red hate card, I feel like,
Yep.
All right, so my first pick is going to be Faithbound Judge, and it is a 3-drop at 1 colorless and 2 white for Creature Spirit Soldier at Mythic. It has flying, defender, and vigilance and it's at the beginning of your upkeep. If Faithbound Judge has 2 or fewer judgment counters on it, put a judgment counter on it. As long as Faithbound Judge has 3 or more judgment counters on it, it can attack as though it didn't have defender, and it's a 4/4. And then it also has Disturb on it, which is crazy. So let's take a look at the Disturb. So you can cast it for its Disturb cost, which is 7. So it's 5 colorless and 2 white, which is pretty steep. But this is what really pushes this card over the edge for me, is Sinner's Judgment, sorry. And that's an enchantment or a curse. Enchant player. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a judgment counter on Sinner's Judgment. Then, if there are 3 or more judgment counters on it, enchanted player loses the game. If Sinner's Judgment would be put into the graveyard from anywhere, exile it, just like any of these curses. So, Drunken, what do you think about Faithbound Judge and Sinner's Judgment?
I think this it's weird. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it has defender. I think that's the one thing I don't like. But a 4/4 flyer that can just that can block is pretty wild. The Disturb thing, I think, is also pretty wild. Like I was saying earlier, during our whatever step, a lot of people don't run a lot of enchantment removal. So just being able to remove this is going to be hard. It's also going to be hard to cast.
Yeah.
The Disturb. It's definitely a late game thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm very curious. Where do you think this fits? What kind of deck does this fit?
So I picked this because I see this in lockout strategies. Because Faithbound Judge is his stats are beefy, right? He's a 4/4 with flying. And he's a 3-drop for that. So you can get him down pretty early and help defend yourself. So you can soak up a lot of damage with this and then help like do whatever your lockout strategy is to, get your life back up or whatever you need to do to, lock out the other person with hate or whatever until, you board wipe and then you kill your own Faithbound Judge at some point. And then who cares if he goes into the graveyard, right? Because then that's good for you because you can then recast him for 7 as Sinner's Judgment at that point once you've already like pretty much locked out your opponent. And then, you just sit there and wait for it to kill them. So I think this is going to be really good in like lockout strategies. And also you might just be able to kill your opponent with, because after a couple turns, it will lose that defender too. So you can end up attacking with it too. And a 4/4 flyer for 3 is really good on top of having that, like, that little extra thing on top of it too, where being able to bring it back as another alternate win condition at the end. I think this card's super good for those like long, trying to like prolong, the game strategies.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, then our next card is going to be DrunkenDork again, and looks like it's a Reclusive Taxidermist. So take it away.
Yeah. So Reclusive Taxidermist is 1 and a green for a creature human druid at uncommon, and Reclusive Taxidermist gets +3/+2 as long as there are 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, and it also has tap, add 1 mana of any color, and it is a 1/2. So I do think this card is going to be played in Historic. I like last week I said with that counter spell, I think this card's going to get better over time.
Yeah.
And it only works in certain decks.
Yes.
The fact that it taps for mana makes this work in more decks than it would if it didn't tap for mana. And I just think this card's going to be really sweet, and like maybe even an aggro to mid-range deck like Gruul aggro. I could see this working in there because their creatures are just constantly getting eliminated, and like when you see this or Gruul Spellbreaker on the board, what do you want to get rid of? Probably a Gruul Spellbreaker. Well, there's 1 card in your graveyard. I think it's just a good alternate to Scavenging Ooze, right? Because you only have so many of those in your deck. And although you're running 4, there's going to be games where you don't get any of those 4. So having a Reclusive Taxidermist in there, a couple of those, might be good, because if it sees multiple creatures in your deck, then it's a 4/4 for 2.
Yeah. I mean, the stats are strong for this for an uncommon for sure, because it could be a 4/4, right? But yeah, there's that thing. You got to have 4 creatures in there, which is not easy to do. That takes a few, a couple Stitcher drops usually to get that. So yeah, so that's kind of hard to get them up there. But at the same time, it still comes down as a 1/2 that can add any mana. I think this is a great card. And yeah, in graveyard decks, I think this is going to be pretty strong, dude. I like it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, by the way, I wanted to say, like, I didn't put these cards in order of what I think is like most playable to least playable or anything like that.
Same here.
I just put them in converted mana cost and alphabetical order. That's the way I put mine specifically. So like, yeah, I do think this card looks sweet though.
Yeah. Mine are not in any order because I think it's like all the ones that I chose, they're specific for specific strategies. Like that last one that I talked about was good in like a lockout deck. It's not going to be good in every deck. And I think in this set we didn't really get very many that were like just good in like everything. Like just like real good stuff cards, which I kind of appreciate that about this set. Maybe
Yeah,
like that card's great.
I do think Cemetery Gatekeeper though, like that card is really powerful,
That one is,
and it's
yeah.
going to get even. It's going to get more powerful. I think that's going to be a card that's going to be used in Legacy and Modern, you know. And if we ever get fetch lands, it's that card's going to be insane.
That's true. That'd be crazy with fetch lands. So yeah, I could definitely see that in Modern. All right, so my next choice is going to be Voice of the Blessed, and I think this thing is blown out of the water strong.
Wild.
Yeah, this thing is crazy. This is possibly one of the strongest cards I think we got in this set. So this is
so, huh?
I think so. This is 2 white for a creature spirit cleric at rare, and it is a 2/2. Okay, and whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on Voice of the Blessed. So it's a Najani's Pridemate, right? It's the same mana cost, same stats when it comes in. I guess its mana is slightly more restrictive. And then as long as Voice of the Blessed has 4 or more 1/1 counters on it, it has Flying and Vigilance, which is pretty huge.
Pretty sweet.
Which is pretty huge, right? And then if Voice of the Blessed has 10 or more 1/1 counters on it, it has Indestructible as well, which is, yeah. So I think the power level is just pushed through the roof on this thing. Flying and Vigilance is crazy. Like, so token strategies are really like not stopping the Vigilance alone with this card is just insane. And unlike a enchantment deck where you have to like commit a bunch of assets to one card to really like keep pumping it up, in a life gain deck, right? Like this is just one creature that you have in there that's doing a bunch of stuff. So, and you really don't have to do very much. Every time you're just hitting a life gain, like it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's getting Flying and Vigilance, and then eventually it's getting Indestructible on top of that. I think this is nuts, right? Like compared to a Najani's Pridemate, this is like a clear winner. It's not legendary or anything. What do you think, Drunken?
I agree. I think comparatively, yeah, it's absolutely stronger. The white doesn't mean anything because usually those Johnny Primates decks are either white or white and green.
Yeah.
So yeah, comparatively, I think this is great. I do think though that this is just a lightning rod. So because it has 0 protection, right?
Yeah.
And because it gets so powerful, it's like, this equipped with this along with a Heliod on the board is just fucking insane.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The moment someone sees it, they're going to get rid of it. It's
If
like any
they
life
can.
gain deck. If they can. But anytime I've played a life gain deck with a Johnny's Pridemate, it's just immediate. Like I've rarely ever won a game with that card. Because people just get rid of it almost immediately. And I mean, I just see the same thing in this scenario. It also doesn't have lifelink.
No.
So it's like it cannot gain life itself. You need other things there.
It's true.
I do think this card is strong. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. I just do think it's a huge lightning rod because it's so strong.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 mana for this thing, and then it could become God knows how big with Flying and Vision. I think that's the real tipper with this one. Yeah, like getting 10 counters on it to get it Indestructible is you've probably won at that point, but you can just attack in probably every turn with this thing. And I think that's one of the problems with the Pridemate too, is like, it's this huge beefy thing, but there's a lot of strategies that can't get through, right? Because it's just smashing against tokens or something. And it has to tap to do that, so it can't defend afterwards too. So I think this gets around a lot of that stuff, which makes it far more powerful.
Absolutely far more powerful. The thing is, like, I think like a lot of times when people judge a card in a game, they see this and they can see how powerful it is on the card. They're like, okay, it's getting +1/+1 counters. This thing is going to grow out of like control. It's going to get flying. They can see all that. Yeah. And they judge it and they're like, I need to get rid of this.
Which is true.
ASAP. Yeah, which is true. And I'm going to go back to Cemetery Gatekeeper. Like if, people look at something like this and it's not unassuming. Whereas like Cemetery Gatekeeper, some people will look at and they'll be like, oh, that's very unassuming, not realizing the potential behind like what it can be doing to you, right? Maybe. Whereas this is like all out on there and like, even the timmiest of players, or especially the timmiest of players,
is gonna know that this thing is a beast. Yeah,
is gonna know that this is a beast, and they're gonna be like, I gotta get this the fuck out of there. But if they can't, this thing is gonna fucking take control and destroy someone.
Yeah.
So I really like the pick, and we're gonna see it.
Oh yeah,
like this is definitely gonna be in life gain decks. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, this is a day one craft for me. I feel like, because I've been playing around. I've been playing around with some life gain stuff recently. I know a lot of people think it's boring, but yeah, it's pretty fun to me. All right, let's see. What is our next pick here? It looks like it is Chandra, Dressed to Kill. And I gotta say, this art that we're looking at right here is not nearly as good as the alt art for this one. The alt art is banging, and this is like something that some like upcoming anime student drew compared to the other one. So all right, take it away, Drunken.
Yeah, Chandra, Dressed to Kill. This is a pick I have. Hoshi said we might have talked about this last week. I don't think we did. I don't remember exactly.
I don't think we did.
It's funny.
The art was out for it, but the card wasn't yet.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like, I actually stopped listening to Magic the Gathering podcast because I didn't want to skew my opinion on things.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I often heard, like, I'd hear a podcast host say, like, oh, someone said we talked about this like a week ago. I don't remember that at all. It's funny because I'm always like, yeah, you fucking idiots. You talked about it a week ago. But when you're actually doing a podcast, I don't remember what we said. It's all kind of a fucking blur, But let me continue on with this card. So Chandra, Dressed to Kill, 1 red for a legendary planeswalker, Chandra Mythic. Her +1 ability, her first +1 ability, is add red. Chandra, Dressed to Kill deals 1 damage to up to 1 target player or planeswalker. That seems okay.
Yeah, it's ramping and it's dealing a damage. So yeah, it's all right.
+1 is second +1 is exile the top card of your library. If it's red, you may cast it this turn. That seems pretty good.
Yeah.
So the first ability, maybe you do that. The first +1, you add a red. Maybe you can like do a shock or whatever the new shock is, get rid of something, and then the second time you can exile a card and then play it if you're playing mono red. And then finally we have the -7, which seems really hard to get to, but
yeah,
it seems good. By the way, she enters as a 3 loyalty.
Yeah.
So -7, exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may cast red spells from among them this turn. You get an emblem with whenever you cast a red spell, this emblem deals X damage to any target where X is the amount of mana spent to cast that spell.
That's pretty good.
That's great. Yeah, that's really good. So if this just fits into a mono red deck, and I think it fits into a few different, or a couple different builds. It fits into a mono red aggro and a mono red like mid range control, like big red, like we tout all the time on this. That our someone in our Discord, S'mores and Bacon made. This seems like it would fit in there perfectly. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think the problem with this is if you're playing against an aggro deck, that this might be very easy to kill at certain parts, because it comes in at 3 loyalty. Yes, it can plus to 4 at that point. But if you're playing against like a hardcore aggro deck, they're going to be able to kill this thing almost immediately. Maybe that +1 that you can get out of it, you can do like a shock or something like that and take out one of their things to slow them down. That's really the only problem I see with this. If this gets past that initial turn where you drop it and it gets to live, I think you can probably stabilize and save it. I like the duality where you can get either mana out of it, or if you have all mana, right, you can get a card out of it, and that pluses for both of those. That's really cool, I think. I like it. I think it's good. Yeah, I think it fits in burn. I think burn fits. This fits in a burn deck pretty well too, because it does both of those things, right? It gets them mana early on, so they can just pump out their burn spells, and then the other +1 gets some stuff off the top of their deck. I think that's the deck that it fits best in. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Just my guess here.
Agreed.
I'm not a burn player, but
besides you absolutely are.
Besides Big Red, Big Red. I do like Big Red. All right. Anything else about Chandra?
Nope.
Oh, okay, cool. Our 5,000th Chandra Planeswalker, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I know, right?
Clearly, Wizard's favorite Planeswalker at this point. I mean, she's great.
I think so. Yeah.
I wonder who is the most printed Planeswalker. I'm pretty sure it's her at this point.
It's either, I think, Chandra or Jace. There's a lot of fucking Jaces out there.
There is a lot of Jace. Jace has cooled off recently, though. We haven't got nearly as many.
It definitely, yeah.
He's not. He's no longer the bad boy. Magic.
Or Liliana too. There's a shit ton of Lilianas.
That is true, and they're pretty great as well. All right.
Yeah, they are.
Anyways, let's move into combat.
Dorkish combat.
All right, and so in combat, that is our horseshit card game hosted by DrunkenDork. So take it away.
All right, everyone. This is the horseshit card game. This is a game where I name 5 Magic cards. 4 of them are from our beloved historic format, and 1 of them isn't. And it's up to this drunken idiot and all you other people out there to figure out which one of those cards is not in our format. So Hoshi, this is just a mishmash of cards.
Okay. Are these all?
Yeah.
Are these? Did you cheat this time, or are these all?
I don't know. Time will tell.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. I guess.
I should look that up. After I absolutely will look it up. I'm pretty sure I didn't cheat.
Fantastic.
I know.
Quality work we're doing here at
yeah, that I'm doing. Yeah, absolutely. So are you ready?
Sure, let's fucking do it.
Okay, so the first one is going to be Overflowing Insight.
Okay.
It is 4 blue for a sorcery, and it says target player draws 7 cards.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is Vessel of Nascency.
Beautiful.
It is 1 green mana for an enchantment. It says 1 and a green, sacrifice Vessel of Nascency. I know I'm saying that wrong. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard.
Okay.
Then we have Luxodon Linebreaker. It is 2 and a white for a creature, elephant, soldier, and it is a 3/2.
All right.
Then we have Rumbling Baloth, 2 green for a creature beast, and it is a 4/4.
Okay.
And finally, we have Volcanic Dragon. It is 4 red for a dragon, and it has flying. Volcanic Dragon is unaffected by summoning sickness, so it has haste.
That's some
and it is
bullshit.
a 4/4.
Okay.
So flying haste 4/4.
Yeah, that's terrible. So, man, most of these are terrible. Overflowing Insight's pretty good. I know that one is in the game. So I'm in between the Vessel of Nascency, I think that's right, Nascency, and the Volcanic Dragon. Now, I imagine if Volcanic Dragon is in Historic, it just says Flying Haste instead of Flying, and Volcanic Dragon is unaffected by Summoning Sickness, which is what the old cards said for Haste. So this is a toughie. Yeah. The Luxodon and the Rumbling Baloth, I'm pretty sure are in there. They're both terrible cards too. The Vessel, it's a cheap costing enchantment. So I think I would have seen that. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the Vessel. I'm in between that and the Dragon, but that dragon's so bad I would ignore it even if it was in there. I think flying and haste for 6 mana is pretty steep. Where the Vessel is at least kind of interesting, so maybe I would have read that. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Vessel. Final answer.
Okay, Vessel. Mm-hmm. Vessel of Nascency, that I'm probably saying wrong. So You are right this week, Hoshi. Yeah, Vessel of Necensi. I even fact-checked myself. That is absolutely not in historic. All these other ones are for sure.
Yeah.
So I grabbed these other 4 cards off of the Arena intro. So these are all intro cards. These are all intro cards. I think Luxon Linebreaker is in another M set, like one of those sets. Overflowing Insight is from also from another set.
Core set.
But I think the Rumbling Baloth and Volcanic Dragon are both in Arena only from the Arena set. So
Ooh, yeah.
pretty good that you've seen those.
Yeah. I at some point. I mean, I stare at I make decks all the time, so I'm staring at cards.
Yeah.
And Overflowing Insight's pretty good. I mean, 7 cards, I've seen, and I'm a jank player, so, that that definitely fits into janky decks. Yeah, pretty sweet. Well then.
Cool. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. Everybody out there, how'd you guys do? Japalo, huh? Apollo, is Apollo there? No, of course not. All right, well, hopefully you guys got it too. That was a tricky one. Pretty hard. And with that, we will go into main phase 2.
Phase 2.
And in main phase 2, we're going to go over the remaining 5 cards that we have picked. So first up this time is going to be me. And this is Winged Portent. Winged Portent, which is it's a instant at 3 mana. It's 1 and 2 blue at a rare, and it has Cleave on it as well. Its Cleave cost is 6 mana, and it's 4 colorless, a green, and a blue. Man, reading these Cleave cards sucks. So the normal for this card is draw a card for each creature with flying you control. Okay. And then the Cleave cost of it for 6 is draw a card for each creature you control. Okay, so that's it for this at instant. What do you think about this one, Drunken?
I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I know where your head's at, though.
Okay.
I know you're thinking blue-white flyers, and this will fit into blue-white flyers. The problem, my only and biggest problem with this card is for each is hard, I think, and is what makes it like not a great card in my eyes, because if you draw this after your board's been wiped, then it does literally nothing for you.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's my big thing with it. But yeah, go. I know. Why'd you pick it? Tell us.
No. No, that is the downside to it, but there's a huge upside to it as well, which is, if you have a big board and it's about to get wiped, right? The other reason I really like this one is, most of the card draws that are for flyers are not at instant speed. They're either enchantments that you have to put on your card, and enchantments have a huge fucking downside to them is when you're putting them on the creature, if they burn that creature, they kill it. Not only do you lose the creature, you lose that enchantment at the same time too.
That's true.
So that's a huge downside to enchantments and targeting your stuff that way, right? And then if you lose that creature afterwards, still you lose 2 things off of it, right? Where this, I can hold it as an instant, right? And I can respond to whatever is going on. If they're gonna board wipe me, I can act like I have a counter spell at the same time, because this will hold priority, right? So maybe people will consider not doing things because of that. People act weird when they think you have counter spells, so
that's true.
That's one good thing about it. Also, the Spirits deck that I play, you can flash things in. So this gives you options, right? I can either do this to get more cards, or maybe I can flash in a creature or hold up a counter spell or something. That's really what I like about it, is that it's an instant card draw that has a huge potential to fully restock my hand. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like if I have nothing on the board, right, and I'm reeling from a board wipe and then I pull this, that's like the worst case scenario for this card, But if I have, even 2 flyers or something like that, I can hold this until maybe I get other ones, and if they start picking stuff off, then I can choose to cast it. The instant part of this is really what I like about it, is that I can choose to do this at different times. And I like that. I like being able to play with it. The sorcery part of stuff like that sucks. I really hate playing with like sorcery card draws, and that's what most of the flyer ones are. So that's the only reason I'm excited about it. But I still would only probably run 2 of these in my deck.
Okay.
Because of that,
cool, man.
that like downside. All right, so we'll go to you next, and you have one that I was also struggling with that I wanted to pick as well, which is Headless Rider.
Yeah, so Headless Rider is 2 and a black for a creature zombie at rare. We picked pretty much all rares and mythics.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whenever Headless Rider or another non-token zombie you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And Headless Rider is a 3/1. So this couples really well with a zombie deck because it makes it a little more resilient, from board wipes and stuff. And I think something we've touched on before that we're missing in Historic is reanimation with zombies.
Yeah.
And although this doesn't reanimate anything, it does, like, after they do a board wipe or after they get rid of creatures, it gives you 2/2s as long as they're not token creatures.
Yeah.
And I really like the fact that these aren't, what are those new zombies they have that they die?
The decay ones, yeah.
The decay doesn't make decay zombies, which is great. I just really think this card fits in well, and I think it makes it a more difficult decision, when you play it down, because people are like, oh shit, do I want to get rid of the one that draws cards? Do I want to get rid of the one that makes tokens? Like, it depends where their life total's at, because potentially, if their life total starts getting low, then they're like, okay, I'm going to get rid of Headless Rider, and then they're going to continue to get to draw cards, right? So I think this set is great for zombies. They've actually printed a couple pretty cool zombie cards in here, but I think this one is the best one that they've shown so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like it. I think this is by far the best zombie that they've shown. And the problem with this one is the 3 mana. I feel like the zombies, like, they're just reeling from everything being good being at 3 mana.
Yeah,
like
true.
There's like, they do have some good stuff that's at the lower mana cost, but it's like that 3 mana cost slot for them is really packed out with hard choices. Do you pick a Lord? Do you pick this? This is great for resiliency and being able to bring it back too. Yeah, I really like it. That's a good point you brought up, though, that that mechanic did not come back in this set, thankfully, because that was kind of an annoying mechanic, especially with the animation and everything with it too, which is cool, but it gets real old if you're playing against somebody that's doing that a lot. It's great. It does make a hard choice, right? Do I want to target this to stop them from being able, because a control deck, if they board wipe you, I mean, they still might die just from the tokens that come back from this thing. So yeah, interesting.
So do you pick, all right, here's the question. Do you pick, say you have 4 slots, all right, in your deck. Do you pick Headless Rider, and also you don't have any Lords, all right?
Yeah.
Yet.
Okay.
Do you pick Headless Rider or Lords or both? 4 slots.
Well, recently I've been not picking 3 mana cards in my zombie decks, but it's tough to say. The Lords are pretty good. Like, they can give them all Death Touch, which is pretty devastating.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
The one can give them Menace, and that one has 2/3 on it, so it's harder to kill. It's a tough decision. I don't know, and I don't know what the right call is. It really depends on your opponent and what they're playing. Like, if they're playing board wipes, then absolutely this guy, But
say you don't know. Like, you're just building a deck. You have 4 slots open. What do you think is more useful in, we'll say, a best of 1 zombie deck?
I think the way that zombies are going right now is that you're getting something out of them dying. So
Yeah.
this guy, like running Phyrexian Tower and stuff in the deck to be able to get some extra mana, having some type of sack outlet in your deck, and using this guy, to the advantage, the other zombie, where you draw cards with it, and then having some other type of like ability to get them back from the graveyard. I don't think the Lord strategy has worked out very well with zombies right now. So I think this is probably a better
I agree
strategy.
100%. Yeah, I was curious what you were thinking. Or maybe like 2 of these 2 lords, or maybe 3 of these 1 lord, something like that. But I definitely think this card in best of 1 right now, I personally think it's better than a lord.
Yeah, I think so too. Makes sense. Cool. All right.
Cool.
Well, let's move into the next one. And this is honestly probably my favorite card out of this set right now. It just dropped tonight.
Really?
Yeah, I really, at first I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is all right. And then I thought about it, and then I thought about another card that I can compare this to directly, and I was like, oh, this card's actually really good. And this is
way better than the card
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
This is a Welcoming Vampire, and this is a 3-drop. It's 2 colorless and a white. It's a creature vampire at rare, and it is a flying 2/3. And it has whenever 1 or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Okay, so the major downside is that this triggers only once, but it's free. If you cast anything that has 2 power or less, right, you get a draw trigger off of this thing, and it's a flying 2/3. Now let's compare this to an older card that saw a lot of play at one point, and that is Mentor of the Meek. Okay, this is almost the exact same card. It is also a 3 mana cost. It's a human soldier. It's also from Innistrad as well, which is funny. And he's a 2/2, so he's not flying. He also has 1 less defense, and he has whenever another creature with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. So you have to pay 1 to draw a card. The upside of this is you can potentially do it multiple times if you have
multiple times, yeah.
If you have a shit ton of mana, though, right? That's the real downside about this guy. Is there's plenty of times I've played cards with Mentor, and I couldn't pay the cost for it. Where with Welcoming Vampire, you don't have to pay any extra mana. Sure, you only get 1 trigger out of it, but she's also a flying 2/3 at this point, so she's harder to kill. She doesn't die to shock or anything like that, and you get a free draw trigger whenever you cast anything. What do you think, Drunken?
I can't agree more with definitely some of the things you said. Definitely way better than Mentor of the Meek. We have Mentor of the Meek in our format.
Absolutely. And you don't see it.
And you don't ever see it. So I don't know what that means with this card.
Yeah.
I do think this card you'll see more. 3 mana, yeah, it is a lot and it doesn't do anything the moment it hits the board except for make it itself a lightning rod, which like if you're trying to like bait your opponent, that can be a good thing potentially.
Sure.
I do like this though. I don't like the fact that you can only draw once.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that like if you're playing mono white weenies or white black weenies or white green hate bears or something like this card's going to fit in there very well. It's going to draw you cards if it sticks around. It's a cool card. Good pick.
Yeah. I really like it. I think it fits into a lot of good stuff. Vampires really struggles with card draw. We have like 1 vampire that really draws a lot of cards, and he's like a 5-drop or something. So, this is a much lower mana cost card, and there's a lot of vampires that come in pretty low power. So, maybe in a like weenie-ish vampire deck with like Sorin backing them and stuff, being able to get this in there can pump it up. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of possibilities for this card. So I think it'll see play. But
cool.
I'll at least play it. And then
the problem with this is like if you have any vampire lords that pump up your creatures, this just basically becomes nothing in the deck, right?
Yeah. That's why I'm saying like using planeswalkers to buff them up or something, Yeah, so you have to build around it appropriately, but in any type of weenie deck, I think it fits in pretty well. And then let's move to your last pick, which is Edgar, Charmed Groom. Yeah, he doesn't seem very charmed, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Edgar Charmed Groom, 2 white and a black for a legendary creature vampire noble at rare. And it says, he is a lord. It says, other vampires you control get +1/+1. All right, and then it also says, when Edgar Charmed Groom dies, return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control, and it is a 4/4. Yeah. So I actually didn't upload the picture of the other side.
Yeah. But read it.
Okay, so, well, first, what do you think? We'll talk about this side real quick.
Okay.
What do you think, minus the transformed, what do you think of a 4-mana 4/4 that gives other vampires +1/+1? Do you think this is playable?
No, I don't. If he gave himself +1/+1, sure. If he was a 5/5, I think that'd be good. I don't think so. He has nothing else besides that. He has no lifelink, death touch, none of that stuff, right? So I think just based on this side alone, no. I don't think he would be playable at all.
And you don't think he's stoked to be getting married to Olivia?
I don't I don't think so. Well, his flavor text says, "Our kind has taken my gift for granted. It's time I correct that folly." So that sounds like he's pissed. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like he's pissed about something, but it sounds to me like he's like, all right, Olivia, it's time to fuck. And then we're going to make like more appropriate vampires, the ones that are, we're going to make this shit like legit.
I think many times in your life, you're misreading this situation.
No. I'm definitely correctly reading it. You don't know what you're talking about.
That's true. Okay.
I actually do think this is playable. I don't think like you run 4 of these, obviously, but I do think, in a vampire deck, this might be the top end there.
Yeah.
Especially when we move to the second side.
Yeah.
And the fact, once you add the other part, when Edgar Charmed Groom dies, return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. So that gives this card resilience, which is huge in our format. We don't have a lot of exile effects. So just destroying this is going to be a bitch to you, because let me read the transform side. Edgar Markov's Coffin. It's a legendary artifact, and it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 white and black vampire creature token with lifelink and put a bloodline counter on Edgar Markov's Coffin. Then if there are 3 or more bloodline counters on it, remove those counters and transform it. So this card becomes incredibly hard to remove. So you're basically making 1/1s for 3 turns if they can't remove the artifact.
Yeah.
I mean, we do actually have quite a bit more than enchantment removal. We have artifact removal in our format.
Yeah.
That's played normally. So this can get removed. But if it doesn't, it creates 3 1/1s with lifelink, which protect
pretty good
and gain you life.
Yeah.
With flying.
For free.
Right?
Yeah, for free. No, they're not flying.
They're not flying.
No, they're not flying.
Yeah, for free.
Yeah.
And then when it has 3 counters on it, it goes back to Edgar again.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, I'm back from the dead. Because I never died because I'm a vampire.
Yeah.
And so...
the first vampire.
So what do you think... the first one.
He's the
so
progenitor.
What do you think of this?
I think the legendary artifact side of it really pushes this over the edge. The fact that he can come back and like you can cycle him. And the craziest thing about him is normally there's a huge downside to running multiple legendary creatures in your deck. And the downside is if you get multiple of them, right, you can only have one on the field at the same time. But the thing that's bonkers about Edgar is that if you cast another version of Edgar, one of them has to die, right? So you kill the one that you just cast, right? And then it turns it immediately into the coffin. And then after the 3 counters get put back on it, it turns back into Edgar, and then you can just kill him again and turn him back into the counter. So you can actually have 2 of them basically on the field at the same time, and you get the effects out of them. And if one of them dies, the other one comes, right? It turns into the coffin. That's the only downside is if you get 2 of the coffins, only one of them could exist at the same time. So one of them would get away. But, then the one comes back. So you can run like 4 of these in the deck if you wanted to. I don't think that would be a good I don't think that would be a good
I don't think that's
a good number. I think maybe 3 at the most.
So So do you think it's playable now? Do you think this is a playable card in our format?
I think so, because the thing with him being a 4 cost is we have that Sorin Planeswalker. I forget which one he is. The one where you can put a high mana value vampire into the battlefield with him, and being able, so you can get him into the, that Planeswalker is insane for
it's really good for vampires. Yeah.
There's a lot of good. We have a couple good Sorin Planeswalkers, and I think he fits really good in there. He's resilient. So I like him. I don't think he's like, super broken or anything, but he's very good.
Not at all.
Yeah, he adds good resiliency to the deck and makes it very difficult to deal with.
So one thing I want to speak to before we move to your card is so you and I picked a lot of tribal style cards. I think I picked a couple vampires. You picked a couple vampires for sure.
Yeah.
We got some zombies in here. What do you think of like these tribes moving forward? Do you think they're going to get stronger after this set, or do you think they're going to be any more relevant? Like, especially I think vampires in this set.
Yeah.
Are to me are looking a lot better. What do you think?
I think the Boros vampires are looking a lot stronger, because I don't even think that was not a thing before. Really, it was Boros vampires, and we're getting quite a few like decent Boros vampires in this set, so we might be seeing some of that. I think people might play around with that at first. I don't think it'll be good enough to maintain. I think the Orzhov vampires are going to be much stronger in this, and then I really wish we got some stronger zombies. I mean, I feel like I always wish that for our set, but yeah, maybe zombies will pop up. I don't think it's going to be anything significant on the tribal front.
We also got more werewolves, and then we also got more humans.
That. Yeah, I was going to mention that. We got some very good werewolves too that I really wanted to put in here. One was like a 6-drop that has hexproof and then gives all your other things hexproof. That one is absolutely nuts. That one was on my list to add in here. So I think werewolves will get a lot stronger, but I think that's more going to be standard. Because
mono green ramp, you think that could fit in there?
Maybe.
I think it might.
Maybe that's the problem. I was thinking those were going to be good in standard, but the problem with all those big ones is they take away from Collected Company, which is I think one of the real things that was propping up the werewolf deck to begin with, and they don't fit into that. So
you're right.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's like we said already. I don't think this set is particularly good for historic, like great by any means, but I definitely think there are some good cards, some okay cards that you can add into decks that maybe were on the fringe that might push it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think that Vampires is a great deck. It's a 1.5 or a 2.0. And it'll move it more towards a 1.5 to 1.7. I don't know, something like that.
Maybe.
I am curious though how it's going to work itself out, because vampires before were either mono black or Orzhov.
Yeah.
And now going forward, we have some really good red vampires.
Yeah.
And I think there are a couple of red vampires from before, and definitely in the original Innistrad set, if we ever get cards from there, there were some red vampires in there. So pushing it to red, white, black.
Yeah.
What is that color pie called?
Mardu,
yeah. Making it Mardu vampires, I think, might be the right call going forward. I don't know. It just really depends what else they spoil and how good those red cards and like the benefits of those are.
Yeah, I think also the blood token thing is going to need to be played around with to really figure out how good that's going to be.
Yeah, good point.
Because I think the blood tokens could be absolutely busted, like on food level busted. But I haven't taken enough time to like really look into that and see if I could build it out properly. So that'll probably be something that I definitely want to do, because I do love building vamps. So.
Oh, dude, I am definitely building vampires. Like it. I mean, I may not craft them all like right away.
Yeah.
That red crimson, graveyard crimson or whatever the fuck the first one cemetery gatekeeper. That one I'm gonna craft 4 of. Like that card's incredible to me.
Yeah.
But like Edgar, Charmed Groom, I might craft 1 or 2, but I don't think you need more than that in your deck. And then the one you just named, the welcoming.
2's a good part. Yeah. Yeah, the welcoming
vampire, I might like craft 1 or 2. I'm hoping I open a few of those and open. But
it's not
yeah,
it's not cast either. It's just enter the battlefield. So his coffin still triggers that thing too. So
yeah,
pretty good.
Why don't you go after your last card?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so sorry, just one last one right here. And this one is Wash Away. And Wash Away is like, I think maybe our first non-rare card that we're talking about here.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. You had the taxidermist, right? Okay.
Yeah,
good.
the taxidermist.
Okay, look at we're budget. We're budget.
Yeah, we could do it.
So Wash Away is it's an instant, and it is 1 blue at uncommon. And it also has a cleave cost, and its cleave cost is 3. So it's 1 colorless and 2 blue. And so this says for its normal 1 drop cost, it's counter target spell that wasn't cast from an owner's hand. Okay. And then its cleave is if you pay the 3 mana, it's just counter target spell. So this is good, I think. I think this is a very good counterspell specifically for Historic. I don't think this is probably that great in Standard, maybe except for countering like Allrun's Epiphany or something like that, right? Which people hate a lot, and this might be good for that. What do you think, Drunken, about Wash Away?
I think out of all the cards we named so far, I didn't pick this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like, I don't know. I didn't, but I think this is probably going to be the most played card out of everything we've picked. This is really important for our Historic format because we have things like Faithless Looting. We have things like, what's that other one that people play all the time?
Mizzix Mastery?
Yeah, sure. Mizzix Mastery. We have that green, black, blue card that people ramp into, and then they cast things out of their fucking library.
Yep.
And like, this is really good because you can 1 mana counter something, or I'm very surprised you picked this because it's a counter spell.
Yeah.
Or you could just, have a just 3 mana counter spell. The versatility on it's really good.
Yeah.
And it's really good for our format. Because there are a lot of people that are cheating shit into play.
Absolutely.
And they're casting cheating it into play too. There are cards that aren't cast, but there are a lot of cards that are cast. So,
that's what.
I think
that's why I picked it.
Oh, go.
That's why I picked it. Not because like I'm in love with this card or anything, because I switch over every once in a while. I get the I hate everyone. I'm gonna play counter spells in me, every now and again. But I think that this is a healthy card for like the cheaty nature of very powerful formats.
Yes.
So
agreed.
I think it is a necessary evil to have in our format where people can just do bonkers ass shit like when we had Tybalt's Trickery. Where was this when Tybalt's Trickery was going around, right? This would have been great.
That would be nice. Yeah.
This would have been great for that. I think this is, a solid counter spell for our format specifically. And you know what? Probably Standard actually too, since people foretell Allrun's
Disturb.
Yeah, no, well, people foretell Allrun's Epiphany, right? So that it costs 1 less mana. Yeah. And so this would counter that because it wasn't cast from their hand, it was cast from exile. Yeah. So this would also work on that. So I think this is an all around crazy counter spell.
I do think it doesn't fit in every deck, right? It fits in control very well, like blue-white control and mono blue or blue green flash. I think it fits into there, but besides that, or maybe blue white spirits, now that we're getting a lot more spirits into Historic. But besides that, it doesn't fit into much more, but it's a sweet card. It's good pick. I like it a lot.
It's not the best counter spell to ever exist, but I think it's definitely earned a place in Historic. So,
for sure.
Sweet, man. Well, that was it. That was our top 5s, man. So any last words about our picks? I know there's more that you probably wanted to pick, and there was other ones that I wanted to throw in there too, but we had to whittle. Yeah,
there's some cool cards. Overall, I don't think this is going to be a really for disturbing. You see what I'm doing here?
God.
Set for our format.
Yeah,
but I do think that there's going to be a couple cards like Wash Away. I think is going to make it into the format. Cemetery Gatekeeper I think is going to make it in, and we're going to see cards like those too, pretty consistently. I'm pretty sure. And it's funny, we started off with the one I think that I picked that was going to see the most play, and we ended with the one that you picked that I think we're going to see the most play.
Probably, yeah.
But overall, it looks fun. I like you. I really like themed tribal style decks, and this adds a lot of tribal synergy to our format with werewolves, zombies, vampires, and spirits, and humans.
Yeah,
so it's cool.
Yeah, overall, I'm not super impressed with the power level of this set, which is fine, right? Like, I think it's just
it is fine.
Our power level is out of control, just like to that point where I was talking about that vampire, right? Like, Mentor of the Meek used to be crazy. Oh, there was another card I wanted to talk about that's in this set that we didn't talk about, which was Hero's Downfall. You remember Hero's Downfall as a very played card back in the day, right? It was a rare. Guess what? It's reprinted. That is reprinted in this set.
It's an uncommon now.
It's an uncommon now. And we were talking about that in our Discord of will it even see play? It was a very played card back in the day. I don't think it's going to see any play in our format at all.
I think it'll in the beginning it's going to see a little bit of play because it's a new card.
Yeah.
But like over time, people are gonna realize like Bloodchief's Thirst and stuff like that. It's just way better.
Bloodchief's Thirst way better.
Yeah.
So it's like just the power level is just insane in our format. So like this is fine. Yeah. I'm okay with the power level of the set, and I love the theme of it. Right, like the whole Innistrad Lovecraftian horrorness of it. Like I've actually been listening to MTG lore, which I usually think is bad in general, just because I like this set so much. I really want to know more about it. So I've been listening to
that's cool.
I've been listening to the Aether Hub guy explain lore, because I think he does probably the best job out of what I've heard, unless anyone else out there knows anyone who does a really good job of making the lore interesting, because most of the time it's just terrible, I feel like. So this set's got me into it though. Well, with that, let's move into our end step.
End step.
Oh God, so cringy every time. I love it.
It's the best. So end step.
It is the best.
End step is where we talk about whatever stuff we have going on outside of Magic, in our nerdy world. Drunken, anything?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So in our Discord, we have a little sub channel in there that is nerdy shit that is not Magic.
Yeah, it's
and Dune has been a big topic recently.
Oh yeah,
because the movie was fucking sweet. I loved it personally.
Oh yeah,
it's funny. My wife said she saw a meme of someone relating it to a perfume commercial, just like a 2-hour perfume commercial, because it totally does.
Oh yeah,
it totally looks like it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's really funny. But that's not what I was going to speak to. I was going to speak to the audiobook. I've been listening to the audiobook recently.
Okay.
And it's incredible. It's really good. It is. I've never read Dune before, and I'd always meant to, because I really like sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I really like these dystopian style stories. And the audiobook's incredible. It's like listening to a Star Wars audiobook, which is unlike many other audiobooks because it has an entire cast.
Yeah.
So you're listening to people's voices are done by other, different actors rather than just one guy reading.
Oh, that's great, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has sound effects and stuff. And I just really suggest if you haven't tried Audible before, maybe try it, get a free audiobook, because you can do that. You can try Audible, get an audiobook, listen to Dune. Dune book's incredible. It's a little bit different than the movie. Different enough that when you're listening to it, you can find close relations between the movie and the book.
Yeah.
But still see the subtle differences, and I really, really like it.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I really like. I've been watching some videos on it where they were talking about things you missed in it or whatever, and they're. One of the things I think is most interesting about the Dune is that they don't really use computers in there. They have technology, but none of it is computer-based technology. Like they don't have like, like a CPU and all this stuff that are like capable of doing like quantum computing, because they've they had like an ancient war with robots or something, so they have human computers, which is that's really cool in the way that they pulled it off, and it ties into the story perfectly with why they need the spice and all that. It's very well, but the movie did a shit job on actually explaining any of that, because like you said, it's like a perfume commercial where you're like, what
so
is
good
going
though
on?
I don't care.
It's great. No, it is great.
It is really good. And I think like the cinematography and like just how fucking like not a lot of words, there's not a lot of dialogue in the movie, and it really like lays into like the fucking scenery and stuff like that, and the plot pieces. And dude, they did such a fucking good job with that movie. And if you do the book on tape or you read the book, you'll get a lot more of that information through there, because they actually speak to that in the book.
Yeah, they didn't mention, so that wasn't like a spoiler or anything, because they didn't mention it in the show, at all. It's one of those things where like, I wish I kind of would have known that before. At some point, I'll probably rewatch it. But anything else, man, before we move into cleanup?
Are we doing the nightcap tonight?
We can. I can do a game or two.
Okay, we are doing nightcap, so please stay tuned if you're watching. We will be playing some historic something. I don't know what.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, we'll move into cleanup.
Cleanup.
And cleanup is our social media promo stage. And this one, we're going to let DrunkenDork take this one away, because he just made a nifty new social media, little slideshow thing. So go ahead.
So yeah, everyone, if you didn't know, if you're watching, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can listen to us on fucking Google Music, whatever, anything that you can listen to podcasts on, we are on it. You can watch us every week live on Twitch. You can watch us every Sunday on YouTube, and whenever after that, that's when we post the show. And you can join our Aether Hub and see all our decks, and that's all here in these nifty little animations that I made. So
nice.
We appreciate it very much. If you like, subscribe, of course, it always helps.
It does.
We make nothing off of this. I don't know if we don't have a Patreon. We don't have anything.
No, we make
the more subscribers, the more people we have watching this, the better we just feel about ourselves. We're like, oh yeah, we're making good stuff.
We actually make negative. we make negative.
Money. I spend money. I mean, we spend money doing this. So,
we're absolute idiots.
We are. That's how much we like Magic, though, and it's sad, really. It really is, yeah. It's like spending 15 hours on your birthday playing Magic the Gathering, right? Just to bring it back to the beginning.
Nice. Call back! All right, so let's go into our discard phase.
Discard phase. Drink 'em up, boys.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's that time. It is discard, where we pound the drinks that we've been drinking tonight, which is, oh no, mine is very large as well. So we'll do the best we can, and we say our farewells. DrunkenDork, any farewells?
Yeah. Bye everyone. Thanks for watching. And like I said before, thumbs up, like, follow us, do whatever.
Yeah. Join the Discord. Tell us how ugly we are or something, right? Or especially drunken. Yeah. And as always, we will see you guys next week back here on Rant.
Oh, man.
Goes down smooth.
No.
It's so smooth.
Did you just pound the rest of your beverage at one?
Almost. I mean, the heartburn got me.
No. Disregard the heartburn, all right? Just do it.
I didn't want to spit up all over my RGB,
Oh my god. That's why I got spit up RGB proof fucking keyboard, dude.
Did you Did you just code it like saran wrap?
No, I was like, I typed in, I was like, is there any keyboards that are spit up root? And then this one came up, I was like, sweet.
It's a good buy. Solid.
It is a good buy.
Solid buy.
For me, yeah.
Oh, gee. Oh, God, dude.
Speaking of spit up.